For 13 years, our family lived in Bakersfield. My neighborhood had an efficient recycling system, so I grew up recycling. Since my city is in a valley, there is often bad air pollution from emissions from cars surrounding oil fields and factories. In 2020, there were so many wildfires, the air pollution got to the point where we had to stay inside for weeks on end. The bad air pollution was starting to affect our health, so we went to visit our aunt and uncle in Hawaii. The air was good in Hawaii, but there was another problem: the recycling. In Hawaii, they only recycle water bottles, aluminum cans, and cardboard. Tons of plastic trash is ending up in landfills when it could have been recycled. I would like to tell the president and other leaders that it's really important to put some limits and some regulations on using plastic as packaging and as a product in general. Big companies are producing giant amounts of plastic in their packaging. A lot of the time, the consumer doesn't really have the choice, and they're buying what they need to buy. And it's really important that companies start changing so people can ultimately produce less waste themselves and make our world a better place. This can ultimately help solve the problem of global warming, because we're already starting to feel effects. Like when I lived in California, there were so many wildfires and, extended droughts, less periods of rain. It's just starting to get hotter, and the environment is responding to that.
Plastic is also affecting our climate. If plastic was a country, it would be the planet's 5th largest emitter of greenhouse gases. With plastic production rates anticipated to increase, so will plastic's effects on the climate and oceans.
Plastic trash from around the world ends up in the Great Pacific Gyre, and it washes up on Hawaii's beaches, and animals can get entangled in it or mistake it as food.
Yeah, we sailed through 2 gyres. The really famous one is the North Pacific Subtropical Gyre. Some people talk about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. That's the most famous one in the world. When you pull the plug out of a bathtub and the water starts to spin around, that kind of spinning motion is what's happening on a huge scale in these areas of the oceans where we have what are called gyres. You can kind of imagine that anything floating on top of the water would end up in the middle. It would, if you dropped a ball or a ton of plastic into just any random spot on the outside, it would eventually end up spinning in the middle. And then once it's in the middle, it wouldn't really drift back out because the waters are always going in a circle. So around, for example, the Hawaiian Islands, you have all this stuff really concentrated in one area. And that is exactly what we actually see happening. We see areas of the ocean and we see beaches where there's tons and tons of trash and gunk all piled up because the ocean currents end up pushing it all to the same little area of the ocean right in the middle of these gyres.
Less single-use plastics and better recycling helps reduce the plastic trash that ends up in our landfills and our oceans, and it hurts the people who live there and the animals who live there.
With plastic production rates anticipated to increase, so will plastic's effects on the climate and oceans. The most important thing to remember about plastic is that it lasts for centuries. This is what makes single-use plastic so profoundly flawed. They're created from a material made to last forever, but are designed to be used once and thrown away.
Very few states have taken action. Only 8 states, including Hawaii, have banned plastic bags. So only 8 states. Hawaii is passing a statewide single-use plastic ban that will be in full effect by July 2021, but we need more states taking action.
Recycling is like trying to mop up water from an overflowing bathtub while the faucet is still running. We need to turn off the faucet and reduce the production of plastic. Companies need to significantly reduce the amount of single-use plastic they are putting onto the market and offer consumers plastic-free choices for their products. Policies governing the production and use of single-use plastic are effective. Unfortunately, companies aren't doing enough, and that's why we need your help.